I'm Ryan Becker. Welcome to my channel, where I normally talk about absurd issues in religion, culture, and society. But today, we're going to do something a little fun. So, back in 2014, there was a video that went viral. Since then, it's actually gotten about 13 million views of a woman at some sort of event where she's running a booth talking about how Monster energy drinks are of the devil. They are literally of Satan. And if anyone knows me, they know that I drink a lot of Monster. There have been several people who have kind of condemned me for it, and I find it hilarious because a lot of those same people will turn into crabs if they don't have their morning coffee on time. So it's always been just interesting to me to watch that interaction play out. Nevertheless, every year, a few times a year, someone will send me this video and they'll inevitably ask for my reaction, or they'll ask if I've seen it, as if I haven't been on the internet for the last 5-6 years. So today, I thought I would finally give an answer so that whenever someone sends me that link, I can just respond with this video. So if you've clicked the link that I've sent you and you're here watching this video now, congratulations. This is your official response that you were hoping for. So without further ado, let's get started.
Look at your M closely. There's a gap right here in the letter M. It's never connected. So you go into Hebrew.
Okay, hold on. We're just gonna stop right there for a second. So she says, look at the letter M. There's gaps between the stems of the M, right? So you go to Hebrew, because that's the normal thing that someone does upon seeing any sort of pieces of a letter disconnected, right? Like they said, look at that car. You see it has 4 tires, but those tires aren't connected. So you hop on an airplane. Like, there's literally this is such a jump, as if that's like a normal thing that people do. Well, there's a disconnected letter. We gotta go to Hebrew.
The letter Vav is also the number 6. Short top, long tail. Short top, long tail. You could have here in Hebrew 666 on the can.
Okay, so she looks at so if you look at the Hebrew alphabet, the way that the Hebrew numerical system works is typically a letter in the Hebrew alphabet will be assigned a number or a numeric value. So Aleph, being the first letter, has a value of 1, and then you've got Vav, which is 6. And so her logic here is that, well, there's these pieces of the M, which is literally just representing a claw ripping through so you can see the drink peering through, right? So her logic is that that looks like 666. But there's a couple things wrong with that. Number one, if she would bother to go one letter further, she would run into Zion, which is the letter that represents the number 7, as in 777. And 7 typically, for a lot of Christians, is kind of like the opposite of 666, right? It's this letter of perfection. And so, using her exact same logic, which is weak at best, I could also tell you that Monster energy drinks are perfect, therefore you should drink them. Here's the second problem with her argument. The number of the beast is 666, which is a vastly different number. Yes, it's 3 6s lined up, but you say it differently, it has a completely different number value than just 3 6s next to each other. Right? So even if it is 666, it's still not 666. In fact, there's a different letter that represents 600. So it's just wild to me for her to just jump to this conclusion as if it is anything important. So the third problem, she's looking at Hebrew and the number of the beast is given to us in Greek. So she's looking at the wrong language to try and prove her entire point. It's kind of like someone saying that homosexuality is condemned in the Bible because the word homosexuality appears in the Bible, as if the Bible was originally written in English, as opposed to, I don't know, Hebrew and Greek. All right, so ridiculous argument number 1 out of the way. Let's continue.
But my interest is the word monster. What do you see in the O? There's a cross.
Okay.
What has Christ got to do with an energy drink?
Okay. So she sees a cross and she says, what does Christ have to do with anything? First of all, that's not a cross. That is a representation of the Greek letter phi, which can be used to denote meaning of motion or of movement, right? And it makes sense then that a letter that could be used to denote motion or movement would be used as a symbol on an energy drink can. That just kind of that one-to-one correlation just makes sense, right? But no. She said there's a cross there in the O, which means that this must be something about Christ, which is, once again, as big of a leap as the parts of the M are disconnected, so we go to Hebrew.
Let alone the name Monster. So I thought, well, maybe this is a Christian company then. BFC at the bottom of the can. Do you know what that stands for? That's the F word. Big can. In fact, they write it on the side of the can.
Okay, so she both pointed that out and she kind of censored the word herself, but we all know she thought it. So I really hope that she confessed and repented of that sin when she got home that night, and also repented of the sin of making other people think it as well.
So I know that's the F word.
Okay.
Now, do you know what a MILF is?
Yes.
That's on the box. MILFs, dig it, and you will too. This is not a Christian company at all. So why would they have...
Shocker. Shocker that it's not a Christian company. They're not trying to deceive anyone into thinking they're a Christian company, and if they were, they wouldn't do it through just putting a tiny cross on the can or in the logo. They would do it by, I don't know, being a Christian company. This is an energy drink company that's going after a very specific demographic, and the demographic happens to use words and appreciate terminology such as what she referenced. So it just seems odd to me that she would try and claim that this is deceptive. There's nothing deceptive going on here with Monster. They're exactly who they say they are.
The cross on the can. Here is the message. Antichrist. 666 in Hebrew. And then the Bible talks about the beast.
Okay. So before we get to the beast, actually, you know what? Let's keep going. Let's get to the beast.
In Revelation, and look at Monster's ad. This is their statement. You see these M's everywhere. Hats, t-shirts, bumper stickers. Is there another agenda here?
No, the only agenda that Monster has is selling their energy drinks and making money, like every other company on the planet. This isn't difficult. So she's trying to connect all these different pieces as if to say that Monster has some sort of connection with the Antichrist, with some sort of connection with this beast of Revelation. The problem with this is that clearly, I mean, she's advertising whatever her product is or whatever her thing is by this kind of deceptive practice of looking at the end times, looking at all these prophecies that happen in the New Testament and in some cases in the Old regarding the end of the world. And if you are curious, the book of Daniel will point that out to you. So she looks at these prophecies and she basically takes them completely out of their context in order to string some very loose and weak arguments together to somehow insinuate but never outright claim that Monster is the Antichrist and the beast, and they represent the Antichrist and the beast. The problem with this overall is that the beast power, and actually the beast powers, and the Antichrist are not actually anything about a company or a corporation, but they're actually about political movements and powers throughout history and I guess technically the future, right? This has to do with political movements and subjugating control over people. So why would an energy drink company be the thing that Satan goes through, right? It's a complete misreading of the New Testament, and it's a complete misreading of the book of Revelation.
If God can use people and product, so can Satan. And look at it this way. Even if the M was not the issue, you cannot deny that is a cross.
I can.
And what is witchcraft? When the cross goes upside down.
Okay, that was a loaded statement. When the cross goes upside down, it's witchcraft. No. Okay.
Bottoms up. And the devil laughs.
All right. And the smug smile and kind of like shrug that she gives, like, sorry, it's undeniable. If you have a problem with me, well, I'm just telling you what the Bible says, so you got to take it up with the big man upstairs. Right? This bugs the heck out of me. It is so arrogant and it is so pompous for her to kind of have that conclusion as if her logic is completely infallible, when in reality she's probably just trying to convince people who are already conspiracy kind of minded or prone, and she's trying to engage them in order to sucker them into something. The reality is Monster is just a company. And when it comes to a cross being upside down, so what happens if I cut a hole in the bottom of the can and pour it into a glass and drink out of the glass so that that cross never goes upside down? Does the devil still laugh? Or do I get away with it? Do I beat the devil, right? Did I just cheat the devil? Here's my biggest concern with all of this. My biggest concern is just the complete misfocus, like the complete missed focus on anything that is important. So my biggest problem with all of this, with their entire argument, is that it assumes that the devil, who's trying to convince some of God's very elect, right? So the people that would be saved, and the New Testament teaches that some of God's very elect will be deceived. She's trying to say that Satan, who has a vested interest in making sure that you think that God is the one doing these terrible things to you, is leaving breadcrumbs so that you can identify him. How in the world does that make any sort of sense, and how does that help Satan accomplish any of his goals? See, he wins if you think that God is the source of all the terrible things in your life. That's how Satan wins, because you start to blame him. You have no interest in following him or having some sort of right relationship with him. Thus, no interest in whatever salvation that you believe he has to offer, because you no longer believe that God is good. This is just another form of the original lie that the serpent gave to Eve in the garden. So this whole thing of Illuminati and Freemasonry and Monster Energy drink and Hollywood and all this stuff with all this kind of evil symbology and all these evil signs and breadcrumbs that lead us to show that Satan is in charge, that doesn't compute. I guess your best argument for that is that Satan is so prideful that he just has to let you know that he's the one doing it. But once again, undercuts his entire strategy, and I'm pretty sure the dude is smarter than any of us that have been alive for just a few decades. And the sad thing is, the gospel that she's preaching isn't really the gospel. It's just a gospel of avoidance, right? It is a gospel of fear everything in the world, because anything at any time could be trying to deceive you and trick you. But the Bible says that perfect love casts out all fear, that there's no need for the conspiracy. See, the understanding of the end times, or the understanding of eschatology, which is the study of the end times, all of those things that Jesus said about rumors of wars and pestilences and famines, all of that wasn't given so that we could proudly, boast that we knew it was coming. It's so that we could remain confident that God is still in control, or that there is still some sort of plan in place when all of the world starts to go downhill. It was to give Christians a sense of peace and hope, knowing that at the end of all this terrible stuff, there actually is a good ending in sight. So the more that we try and sit here and focus on all the things that we should be afraid of, and trying to just decipher all these hidden things like QAnon, which by the way started as meme culture. So you've got you remember the play a record backwards and or Knights in Satan's Service was Kiss, right? This is just QAnon and all these conspiracy theories about Pizzagate and all this stuff. All of that is just that whole thing repackaged in 2020. It's just the new burn all the CDs and once you come back from youth camp. That's all that this stuff is. And while this video is 6 years old, it seems like the conspiracy-driven stuff has only gotten worse since then. My encouragement to you is that there's plenty of things in the Bible that can take up our attention if we're so interested in puzzles and discovering hidden meanings and looking for that stuff. There's plenty of stuff there. But outside of that, it's not really hidden. It's actually pretty much in plain sight. And there's no real need to focus on any of that anyway. Because the more we're focused on that, the less we're focused on Jesus. I don't know, being his representative, being a reflection of him, living like him, being transformed in his likeness and by him, right? There's so much that we miss by trying to spot the devil and aha, gotcha every single time that we think that something's amiss. It's like we're trying to just be Dora and say swiper no swiping, but Satan no Sataning.
Swiper no swiping. Swiper no swiping.
So look, if you're in the boat of being kind of wowed by conspiracy theories and concerned about them, the entire purpose of the prophecies of the Bible were to give you hope, to fill you with peace and confidence, knowing that God does have a plan at the end of all of this, that there is an end in sight, and that we can trust that he is faithful to his word. And if we're very concerned about protecting the faith from whatever outside and worldly influences that might exist, look, Jesus is known as the Lion of Judah, and I cannot remember the last time that a lion needed a human to protect it. In fact, I would actually argue that the only time a lion has needed protecting from a human is from, well, other humans. As for why I drink Monster, I just like the taste of it. I actually drink them very slowly, and I drink water throughout the day as well. I also have ADHD, and I was diagnosed just a year ago, a little over a year ago now. And it turns out, as I talked with my psychologist in my initial meetings, it was discovered that we could see a notable pattern of the reasons or the triggers for me drinking any energy drinks or taking caffeine and sugar in, and it lines up right alongside with any sort of symptoms and traditional presentations of ADHD. But a word of warning to you if you drink energy drinks and you enjoy anything with vitamin B12 in it. If you drink too much, you can actually end up hurting your liver the same way that an alcoholic does for drinking too much alcohol. So the key, just like everything else in life, is moderation. So there you have it. That's my reaction to this whole thing. It is a mess. I hate this video. I can't stand it. I hate that I had to make this video, but why not, right? We had some fun today. I hope you learned something. I hope you had a good time with me. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you had a good time with me today. And if you want to engage in any of my other content, then you can check out my podcast and podcast network in the links in the description below. And make sure to subscribe, like this video, and share it with a friend if you want to have a good laugh together with them. And as always, I like to end my videos with some B-roll of my corgi sugar to brighten your day. Thanks for watching.